think that's gonna make it. Oh, it's a home run!
If you took Wii Baseball, threw some cell shading on it, and put it into a VR setting, you'd probably get an end product that's something like Totally Baseball. Developed by Viewer Ready, this VR title lets you play a full game of baseball, always playing in a position where the action is. But is this game really a home run for the Quest 2, or does it have too many errors to justify the $15 price tag to play ball? Let's find out. VR sports titles tend to fall into one of two categories. You either have a game focused more on simulation, or a game focused on arcade-like fun. Totally Baseball seems to ride a bit more on the arcade side of things, while still keeping some simulation elements in play. For the most part, these mechanics seem to work out pretty well, but we'll get to that later. After starting up the game, you are put into the locker room, which is the game's main menu. Here you can customize your avatar with a small but reasonable amount of options. You have a total of 3 teams that you can play against, each representing a different level of difficulty. You have 3 venues that you can play in, which you unlock after beating each team, although really it's more like 2 venues. You have a rural farm league type of field as the first location, then the second field is the same field, but it takes place at night. After that, you unlock the stadium venue, which is more of a professional ballpark type venue and is definitely my favorite to play in. It seems like a bit of a stretch for the publisher to advertise this game as having multiple venues in the store when it's really only 2, but whatever. They're fun locations to play in, and playing at night looks kind of neat. Speaking of which, graphically speaking, Totally Baseball looks totally fine, pun intended. The cel-shaded characters, albeit a little generic and on the anime side of things, look nice on the Quest 2. Overall, the art style, while not amazing, definitely looks good enough and doesn't have that ultra low res look that a lot of Quest 2 games have. I especially like the contrast of the players versus the somewhat crudely drawn fans in the stands at the rural ballparks, and I think I'd like to see a lot more of this in future parks when added. The venues, while minimal in design, are immersive, and you mix that with a pretty good voice work of the PA announcers, and you feel like you're really out there in the field enjoying America's debatable favorite pastime. But alright, this is a sports game, so let's talk about the mechanics. Pitching in this game has 2 approaches. You can have manual mode, where you use the trigger or the grip button to hold the ball, then simply pitch and release, trying your best to get the ball into the strike zone. If you're having difficulties with accuracy, you can adjust the assist feature accordingly, or you can simply switch to cannon mode. This basically gives you a Mega Man style blaster and is ready to shoot the ball whenever you catch it. It's definitely the easiest way to pitch and is good if you can't or don't want to swing your arm every time you throw the ball. However, for me personally, I found that throwing the ball in manual mode with the assist on medium was the best blend of challenge and fun, but you can always experiment with this by changing the options on the fly in-game. Overall, I think the pitching is fun and simplistic. There's no options for pitch types or varied speeds, but especially when in manual mode, it's still fun enough to just throw as many strikes as you can get. I would love to see more options added, however, in future updates. When pitching, if the ball is hit, the game will teleport you to the most relevant position to try to field the ball. If you're in the outfield, try your best to run to the highlighted area to catch the ball before it lands. If you try to throw a player out, the game will actually have you throw and then teleport to catch the ball that you just released. This admittedly can be a little disorienting at first, trying to figure out your and the incoming ball's position, but after the first few infield plays, you acclimate yourself pretty easily. To me, this was honestly the most fun part of the game. Throwing someone out at first or chasing after pop flies is really quite satisfying. The catching mechanics in this game are really good and in my opinion just have a really satisfying feel to it. Sure, it's fun to strike someone out, but it's way more rewarding to get a successful double play. While playing defense is a lot of fun, when it comes to baseball, most people probably care about what playing offense is like. And while it has its moments, unfortunately, I think this is the weakest point of the game. First off, the game takes a more arcadey approach by giving you a real fat bat that makes getting a strike kind of difficult, and multiple home runs per game can be easily achieved after enough practice. The biggest hangup for me with batting, though, is that it has you swing one-handed, and it doesn't give you any option to toggle which hand you swing with. You can select if you swing left or right-handed, and that will put you on the appropriate side of the plate. If you bat right-handed, the bat will be placed in your right hand, and if you bat left-handed, the bat will be placed in your left. But as a lefty who pulls the bat with his right arm, this feels really awkward having to swing with my left arm when at the plate. I don't necessarily mind the one-handedness or the arcade-like nature of batting, and I understand the reasons why they give you a bigger bat or why it would be more fun to allow for a lot of home runs, but I would really like to be given more options to swing more comfortably. If they just gave me more options with batting, I would hardly have any issues with the batting mechanics. However, there is one really big issue on the offense side of things that really needs to be fixed as soon as possible, and that's regarding the base running. Running the bases is pretty simplistic. There's no stealing, there's no tackling the catcher at home plate, no sacrifice flies, anything like that. It's simply hit the ball, run as many bases as you can, repeat. Very similar to Wii Baseball when playing on the offensive side anyway. And while that's not really a big issue, the real problem is that running the bases is really easy to exploit, because even when playing on the hardest difficulty, you can simply have the AI try to chase you down in a rundown scenario, and you can simply run right around them to get to the next base every time, allowing for multiple inside the park home runs almost every time you have the potential for a double. If the AI was improved to handle a pickle situation better, it would not only be fun to get caught in a rundown, but it would fix the current broken method of getting inside the park home runs almost every time I get on base. I know it sounds like I've been dunking on the game a lot. I think there are a lot of things this game needs to add to make it more enjoyable. And currently, with it being just a single player game with multiplayer said to be coming very soon, it's really hard to recommend this game at its asking price of $15. For me personally, I've gotten my enjoyment out of it. I'm excited to see what the multiplayer has to offer in the future, and at its core, I think it's got a lot of fun to offer. But grading the game as it currently stands, I'd have to give it a grade of a C-. There's a lot of fun at the core of this game, like I said, and I do think it has so much potential to the point of even earning an A game if enough content gets fixed and added in. But with its current minimal single-player only gameplay and its frankly really buggy state, I'd really only recommend it for those who are desperate for a Quest baseball game and are willing to take a chance to see if the game gets better with potential future updates. I spent my own money on this game, and I don't regret my purchase at all. But I think most people will want to wait a little bit, at least until the multiplayer update comes. But yeah, that wraps it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching the video and checking out the channel. If you like this type of content, let us know by leaving a like down below, and feel free to hit us up on any of our social media platforms or on our Discord server listed in the description below. And if there's anything I neglected to mention or any questions you have regarding this review, let me know in the comments down below. With that being said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Blake, and for all things tech, games, movies, to anything nerdy in between, be sure to subscribe to Digital Cynics. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you next time.